If you have a cat at home, or you're simply passionate about felines, today you're going to understand one of those things that seem magical, but are actually one of the most impressive signs of a cat's body and behavior. And I'll tell you right now, when you discover the real reason, you'll stop finding it strange and start seeing it as a true secret code of nature. Today's video topic is exactly this. Only female cats do this, and the reason is exciting. And yes, there is a behavior that shows up in a very specific way in female cats, something many people confuse with neediness, drama, pain, whining, or even a serious problem, when in fact it can be a clear sign of a powerful biological process happening inside her, a process that completely changes how she acts, how she vocalizes, how she rubs against things, how she positions herself, and even how she seeks contact. You know that moment when the cat starts meowing differently, louder, more insistently, as if she's calling someone, or when she rubs against everything, rolls on the floor, seems restless, and suddenly raises her hindquarters with her tail held to the side, almost like she's locked into a very specific pose? Some people panic, some people laugh, some people assume she's asking for cuddles, and some people instantly grab their phone. My cat is acting weird, what could it be? And the most curious part is that this behavior, exactly as it appears, is something you won't see in male cats the same way. Males can vocalize, become needy, get agitated, mark territory, and show reproductive behaviors, but this sequence of combined signals, with the characteristic posture and the intense change in vocalization, is a script you'll see mainly in females for a very exciting reason. Her body is literally announcing a phase of the reproductive cycle, as if it's saying, my body is ready, even if she lives in an apartment and never has contact with a male cat. And here's the hook, I promised, this behavior often doesn't appear out of nowhere. It has triggers, a duration, an intensity, and it can get worse or ease up depending on the environment, stress, routine, age, and even how you respond. And there's an even more interesting detail. Some cats barely show it, while others turn into a siren for a few days, and that can be perfectly normal. Or it might be telling you something needs to be adjusted for her well-being. In other words, the same behavior can be a message from the body or a cry for comfort, and you're going to learn how to tell the difference. So stay with me until the end, because in this video you'll understand exactly what your cat is doing, why it happens, how to identify it safely, what you should never do so you don't make things worse, how to practically ease her discomfort, and when this becomes a reason to seek veterinary care as soon as possible. And yes, I'll give you clear, real-life solutions that actually work without overcomplicating anything, so you're not stuck with sleepless nights of non-stop meowing or a frustrated, restless cat in your home. And quickly, welcome to the Cat Forever channel, where we unravel the fascinating and complex mysteries of the feline world. The idea here is simple: to help you understand your cat's behavior with clear explanations and practical tips, no scare tactics, no exaggeration, and always with respect for what cats truly are. Now, before you think, okay, so that's just her being in heat, that's it. Listen to this. Being in heat isn't just about wanting to mate. It's a set of hormonal changes that affect the cat's body and brain. That's why she can seem like a completely different cat for a few days. And that's also why many owners think she's in pain or not feeling well, because the intensity can be alarming. But understanding the reason is the first step to staying calm and taking better care of her. And there's another point that makes everything even more interesting. Female cats can enter this phase multiple times during certain times of the year, and some go into heat again with short breaks when mating isn't happening. That's why some owners say, my cat was acting strange last week and now she's doing it again. It also explains why in some homes it feels like it never ends. If you've been through this, you're not alone. So let's do this. Think about your cat, or any cat you've ever seen. Has she ever gone through a phase where she became more talkative, more clingy, rubbing against you, rolling around, and doing that tail to the side posture? If so, today you'll understand exactly what was happening and how to handle it the right way. If not, even better, because you'll learn before it happens, and you'll know how to recognize it instantly without panicking. Let's break it down together, because when you understand the why, you take better care of your cat, avoid unnecessary suffering, and feel more confident as an owner. Perfect. Now, let's break this behavior down in detail, as clearly as possible, because when you see the complete pattern, you stop interpreting it as she's losing it and start recognizing it as a set of very specific signals. The behavior that shows up mainly in females, and that most people never forget after seeing it, is usually described like this. My cat is meowing strangely, rolling on the floor, rubbing against everything, and striking a pose with her rear end raised and her tail to the side. And yes, that pose is one of the most distinctive signs. She lowers the front part of her body, raises her hindquarters, may tread with her back feet like she's stepping in place, and keeps her tail off to the side. Sometimes she does this when you pet her along her back or near the base of her tail. Other times, she assumes the posture on her own, as if responding to an internal trigger. What's happening there in the vast majority of cases is estrus heat. But the word estrus is too small to explain the magnitude of what's going on. Because estrus isn't just a body phase. It's a body phase that affects the brain and changes behavior. Specific hormones rise and activate instinctive responses. She seeks more contact, vocalizes louder and longer, rubs against things to spread scent, becomes restless, may eat a bit less, may sleep less, and may constantly demand attention while also seeming never satisfied. And here's the first big fact many people don't know. In many species, heat involves bleeding. In cats, it usually doesn't. So the absence of blood doesn't mean it's not heat. That's why some owners get confused and assume it must be pain, cramps, or something serious, because there's no bleeding, so it can't be heat. But it can be. And often that's exactly what it is. Now let me list the most common signs, so you can compare them with what you've seen. The vocalization changes. It's not the normal feed me meow or open the door meow. It can become a longer, louder, repetitive sound, almost like a call. And yes, it can happen in the middle of the night because her body is in a heightened, searching state. Some owners say it sounds like she's crying. In reality, it's an instinctive call. She becomes more clingy, but it's not just affection. It's neediness mixed with restlessness. She wants contact, rubs against you, presses her head into your leg, rubs her whole body against you, and may roll around on the floor like she's trying to rub off internal tension. This isn't fussiness. It's scent-marking behavior, and it's also a way to release agitation. She may try to escape. This is a huge point. A cat in heat can become intensely focused on getting out, staying by the door, the window, insisting. The owner thinks she just wants to go for a walk, but she's responding to the instinct to find a mate. So this phase significantly increases the risk of escape. That tail to the side posture can appear with or without touch. And this is one of the most specific signs in females. It's a reproductive posture. Her body is showing biological readiness. Males show different signs: mounting, spraying, fighting, and becoming more territorial. But this posture, combined with the changed vocalization and that restless affection, is very typical in females. And here's the detail that confuses a lot of people. Sometimes the cat seems to like it when you pet near the base of her tail, and she assumes the posture, and the owner thinks it's a learned habit or something she trained herself to do. It's not. It's the hormonal state. And this matters because, without realizing it, some owners end up overstimulating an area when she's already at peak agitation, making the whole thing feel even more intense. Now, let's talk about causes, because here's the exciting part. The root reason is biological. but the environment can amplify or soften what you see. The main cause is a reproductive cycle. Female cats reach sexual maturity relatively early, and depending on the cat, this can happen while she's still young. Heat cycles can occur more often during times of the year with longer daylight hours. That means you might see the behavior repeat at short intervals during certain seasons. However, a few factors can make heat look more intense or much harder to deal with. Environmental stress, moving, constant noise, visitors, construction, a new animal in the home, tension between cats, any of that can raise stress, and a stressed cat in heat tends to vocalize more, get more frustrated, demand more attention, and sleep less, boredom and lack of enrichment. If your cat has nothing to do, no energy outlets, and no stimulation to be a cat, the heat cycle becomes the center of her world. Her body is already revved up internally, and the environment offers no healthy release. The result, more repetitive meowing, rolling, and persistence. An inconsistent routine. Meal times all over the place. Little play. Little predictability. This increases anxiety. And anxiety combined with heat is a recipe for restless, overwhelming behavior. Health factors. This is where a calm owner and an attentive owner both matter. In most cases, it's simply heat. But if you notice obvious pain, difficulty urinating, straining to urinate, urinating outside the litter box with effort, extreme apathy, a prolonged loss of appetite, vomiting, abnormal discharge, fever, or if she looks rigid and truly distressed, then the situation changes. Because unusual behavior can sometimes hide physical discomfort. And in unspayed females, there's a real risk of uterine problems. This isn't meant to scare you, it's meant to guide you. So how do you know in practice that it's heat and not something else? Look at the whole picture. Heat usually comes with a typical posture, different vocalizations, rubbing against objects, restlessness, and increased seeking of contact. Many cats still eat, play, and move around normally, just more agitated. Pain often looks different. She becomes withdrawn, avoids touch, breathes differently, may hide, may react aggressively to touch, and the signs don't come as that standard package of heat. Pay attention to duration. Heat usually lasts a few days. The intensity can rise and fall, but it comes in cycles. If it's a non-stop crisis for weeks with no break, that deserves a closer look. Pay attention to timing. Many owners notice it gets worse at night. That makes sense. The house is quieter, her vocalizations stand out more, and her body is in calling mode. Watch for escape attempts. If she's persistently trying to get out, that strongly supports the idea that she's in heat. And here's an observation that helps avoid mistakes. Some behavior can look like heat but isn't. For example, a highly stressed cat may vocalize and rub excessively due to anxiety, especially if she has little stimulation. There's also the base of the tail issue. Some cats react strongly to being petted there, regardless of heat. So again, don't focus on one sign. Look at the pattern. And to close this section with a striking truth, your cat isn't doing this to annoy you. She doesn't have a human intention to provoke you. She's following an ancient, powerful, automatic biological system. The exciting part is realizing how her body communicates with you without words and how. Once you understand the signal, you become a much more confident owner because you can respond calmly and strategically. Now we get to the part that truly changes your day-to-day life as a cat owner. What to do in practice to reduce her stress, ease restlessness, prevent escapes, protect your home, and get through this period with as much comfort as possible. And here I'm going to be very direct and very practical because that's what people need most. The first thing is understanding the goal. You're not trying to magically switch off her nature. You're trying to do 3 things at once: reduce triggers that increase agitation, offer healthy outlets for physical and mental energy, and create an environment that feels safe and predictable. That calms her, reduces vocalization, lowers frustration, and improves her sleep and yours. First step, maximum escape security. If your cat is in heat, treat doors and windows like she's an Olympic athlete training for a breakout. Because many cats in this phase become surprisingly persistent, check your window screens. A flimsy or poorly secured screen is not real protection. If it bends, has gaps, or isn't properly installed, she can push through and create an escape route. Ideally, the screen should be sturdy, tight, and securely installed. Be extra mindful at the front door. If you live in an apartment, be careful when opening the door for deliveries, visitors, or when you leave. A simple technique is to create a containment point before opening the door. Call your cat into a room, offer something interesting inside, and close that room's door. This prevents impulsive escapes. If she's sitting by the window calling out, limit access when needed. This isn't punishment, it's protection. And it also reduces external triggers like the smells and sounds of other cats outside. Second step, a predictable routine to calm the brain. Cats settle when they know what to expect. And when she's in heat, her body is already revved up, so you offset that with predictability. Set consistent meal times. It doesn't have to be perfectly on the minute, but keep it steady. That reduces anxiety. Create a short bedtime ritual. Something simple, 10 minutes of play plus cool water plus a comfortable, calm setup. This helps her body slow down. Avoid reinforcing meowing with immediate attention. This is a classic trap. She meows, you talk to her, pick her up, give her a treat, and without realizing it, you teach her that meowing works. Instead, guide the behavior. When she's quiet for a few seconds, reinforce that calm with gentle affection or a small treat. You're teaching calmness. Third step, burn energy the right way. This is crucial. If you had to choose one action to improve everything, it would be this. Guided play every day, ideally more than once. A wand toy with feathers or ribbon is gold. Make her chase, stalk, pounce, and jump. The goal isn't total exhaustion, it's completing a full hunting cycle. Use a simple rule: hunt, catch, eat, rest. You play. Let her win the toy a few times, then offer a small meal or treat. That naturally encourages rest. If she's restless early in the morning, increase the end-of-day play session. Not gentle play, short, intense play with little breaks to truly burn energy. Fourth step, environmental enrichment to occupy the mind. When a cat is in heat, she has a lot of internal energy that's hard to release. So you give her mental work, food puzzles. Use an interactive feeder, a treat ball that dispenses kibble, or a simple DIY option. Hide small portions of kibble in little containers around the home. That keeps her brain busy. Boxes and tunnels. A simple tunnel can change the whole vibe. Cardboard boxes with entry holes can, too. It sounds basic, but it increases a sense of control and reduces stress. Hide in territory. If you have more than one cat, this is even more important. Shelves. Tall scratching posts, elevated spots. When a cat has a throne, she feels safer. And safety lowers agitation. Place scratching posts strategically. Don't hide them. Put them where she walks and where she tends to rub. Scratching is emotional release. Fifth step, comfort and reducing triggers that worsen heat behavior. Some triggers increase restlessness. Avoid exposure to male cat scent. If you have a male cat at home, it's best to separate them during this phase because his presence can dramatically intensify calling behavior. Even neutered males can still react. Be mindful of noise and chaos. A loud home, construction sounds, shouting, everything feels bigger to an already overstimulated cat. If possible, create a safe corner, a bed, a blanket, a hiding spot, water, and a litter box in a quiet area. Use synthetic pheromones if it makes sense. Diffusers or sprays made for cats can help reduce stress for some cats. It's not a miracle cure, but it can be a helpful boost, especially in busy homes. Sixth step, what you should not do. Now comes the part that prevents disaster. Don't scold her. She's not doing it on purpose. Yelling only increases stress and can increase vocalization. Don't use punitive methods like spraying water, clapping to scare her, or locking her in a bathroom as punishment. That only associates you with fear and increases anxiety. Don't overstimulate the base of her tail like you're massaging her to make her stop. That can reinforce the posture and keep her more agitated. Affection is great, just favor gentle petting on the head and cheeks, and use play to release energy. Don't give medication on your own. Human calming remedies or natural products without guidance can be dangerous. Seventh step, the most definitive solution and why it's so highly recommended. If the question is, how do I truly solve this and prevent it from coming back? The answer is spaying. And I'm saying that responsibly, without drama. Spaying eliminates heat cycles and, therefore, the sequence of behaviors that come with them. It also reduces the risk of uterine problems, lowers the chance of escapes and unwanted pregnancies, and reduces the repeated hormonal stress some female cats go through with frequent cycles. But here's the reassurance: spaying doesn't erase personality. Your cat remains affectionate, playful, and curious. What changes is a hormonal roller coaster. Eighth step, when this becomes a reason to see the vet urgently. Most heat cycles are just that, heat, but some signs deserve evaluation. If there is foul-smelling discharge, severe lethargy, fever, vomiting, obvious pain when touched, a very sensitive abdomen, a complete loss of appetite, or if your cat is drinking excessive amounts of water and urinating unusually, seek veterinary care. If she's obsessively trying to escape and hurting herself, you may also need help adjusting management and reducing risk. If she has never shown this behavior before, and it appears suddenly along with other symptoms, it's worth investigating. Ninth step, a practical anti-early morning strategy. This one is for saving cat owners who can't sleep. During the day, offer to short sessions of intense play. At the end of the day, repeat, intense play plus a small meal. Reduce nighttime triggers, low lighting, a predictable environment. No open windows letting in outdoor smells. Ignore attention-seeking meows, but reward silence. When she's quiet for a few seconds, offer gentle petting or a treat. She'll learn which behavior earns a reward. If she's climbing or destroying things, don't scold her. Redirect her to a scratching post or a toy. Your goal is to guide, not punish. And here's a helpful fact that keeps cat owners calm: this behavior is temporary. Her body goes in and out of this state. The more routine, play, security, and appropriate stimulation you provide, the smoother this phase becomes. And the less you accidentally reward the meowing with attention, the faster she learns there's a calmer way to receive care. Now you can see this behavior differently. That combination of signs that seem strange or even worrying is, most of the time, your cat's body speaking loudly through instinct. The changed vocalization, the restlessness, the rolling on the floor, the rubbing against everything, the insistence on contact, and especially the tail to the side posture together, they form a classic pattern of estrus. And the most interesting part is realizing this isn't a defect in your cat, not drama, not provocation, it's biology in action, driven by an ancient and powerful system. What truly changes your routine is how you respond. When you understand the full picture, it becomes much easier to separate what's a normal phase of the cycle from what might be a sign of stress or physical discomfort. And it becomes easier to get through this time with simple strategies that make a real difference. Escape security, a predictable routine, guided play to burn real energy, enrichment to occupy the mind, and a calmer home with a safe corner where she can settle. If you take just one takeaway from this video, let it be this: heat speeds things up internally, so you need to offer an external environment that's more predictable, safely stimulating in the right measure, and secure. Your cat doesn't choose what hormones do to her body. But you can choose what the environment does to her emotions. And that transforms the experience from chaos and endless meowing into a manageable phase, with more comfort for her and more peace for you. It's also important to remember the most practical and definitive point. If you want to prevent this from happening frequently, spaying is a solution that stops heat cycles and reduces significant risks while also reducing escapes and frustration. At the same time, paying close attention to warning signs helps you act quickly when it isn't just heat. If severe lethargy, pain, fever, abnormal discharge, vomiting, major urinary changes, or any clear sign of distress appears, it's time to seek veterinary guidance. If you have a cat at home and you recognize this behavior, tell me in the comments what signs scared you the most the first time. Was it a different meow, the restlessness, the attempts to escape, or that tail to the side posture? I really want to know because it helps other cat owners realize they're not alone. And if this video helped you understand your cat better, give it a like so this content reaches more people. Share it with someone who has a cat at home, and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss the next videos. Here at Cat Forever, we translate the world of cats in a simple, direct, and truly useful way. Until the next video.